Hey, lady.
Hey.
Can I go ahead and tick everybody off now?
Oh, no. You want to start that way?
I do. Okay, you laugh. I'm going to start talking before you cut me off. So I see that we've got a lot of people. We've got our tried and true subscribers, and we appreciate you guys. But then we have a bunch that have signed up for a free subscription. And I would like to call those people out.
Ooh, okay. I'll let you do it.
Okay. And the reason I'm calling out, I love a freebie just like anybody else, but my challenge to my colleagues, folks, I don't want y'all to forget, you get what you pay for. So you paid for nothing, and you're missing out on all these valuable resources.
Yeah.
And you and I, have really thought about how we can make resources helpful to people. And I think that's what my colleagues, y'all are missing, is that, yes, there's a lot of free resources online. There are a million webinars for marketing or for hiring or for you name it. There's a lot of stuff out there, but I'm telling you what is different about what you offer in the subscription with the digest and your playbook tips is the how and the nitty-gritty of how you do these things. So for example, in my mind, when I listen to anything, a webinar for how to bake a cake, hey, bakers, you need a bowl, you need a whisk, you need eggs, you need oil, you need flour. Okay, yeah, I could have figured that out myself. And I could dig online for trying to find a million different recipes for chocolate cake. But that's going to take a lot of time. And I may get some answers and I may get some conflicting answers. And at the end of the day, I may or may not get a decent cake. But I will tell you, I will have gotten myself a headache. And so you have made it unbelievably reasonable. I'm always on you, going, you charging that, you're giving it away for free, and you have your years of expertise. You cannot give that away for free, but you don't have to charge what everybody else is charging, because I know you want to make it accessible to people. Your goal is to help people, which I can appreciate that, but I'm going to challenge my colleagues to quit reinventing the wheel, quit being cheap. The subscription is so cheap. I cannot believe you're only offering it for what you are. You should be charging quadruple for that, at least. And yet people are still signing up for just the free option, and I don't get it. And I am challenging everybody to quit being cheap.
Yeah. Go level up to the next level.
Go level up. I am a client of yours, and I print off the playbook tips because they are the how. So you want to bake a cake? Okay, do you want to go try to figure out, do you set your oven at 350, 325, 400? What kind of pan am I using? What kind of eggs are best? How much oil? Quit dilly-dallying with that stupid stuff. Go pay for the recipe.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
No, I think it's a good challenge, and we've got amazing subscribers, but a good handful of them have signed up just for the free version, and they're missing out on the how. The recipe for exactly what to do and how to do it. So I think it's a good challenge, and hopefully you didn't tick anybody off with that challenge.
I'm just calling it like I see it. Quit being cheap.
So that's our first challenge. Now, second challenge. What do you have on the docket for today's podcast?
Right. Sorry, I'm so worked up about this. It's we fault our patients for not wanting to pay for XYZ, and yet here we are doing it ourselves. And it's if you want to improve yourself, yes, utilize all the freebies that you can. I would say that's probably a smarter approach. You can't make millions if you are spending millions. I appreciate that, but I don't like that when it's not strategic.
Yeah.
And I think people are wanting more information, but then being cheap about it. So be cheap with your, fly coach instead of first class, but save that money for something that's really an investment for your business. Okay, but you told me we need to get to the podcast today. So I wanted to talk about conflict in the office amongst team members, because that is some nice, juicy drama. Luckily, I've not had it as of late, but I'm sure it is coming. just because that's the nature of what we do, right? Like, we deal with people And I know you have some examples you were starting to mention, and I stopped you. You were starting to mention about a client of yours and 2 team members getting into some drama.
Yeah.
And so can we talk about that?
Oh, yes. Yes. So I would say, man, talk about the juicy drama stuff. This is the stuff you think about. Like infighting, and she said this, but she did this, but way back in 2019 this happened, and I haven't gotten over that. Drama happens.
Oh, good grief.
Drama happens on teams. And this week in particular, I was dealing with a new situation where 2 team members just were at it with each other. And so I was working with the office manager who, bless her, she is so tired from these series of dramatic episodes that she's been having to deal with. And it just struck me as I was talking with her, and she was getting teary-eyed. She hasn't been sleeping. She's been trying to manage this. And I realized again the impact of drama on a team and the ripple effect that it has on other team members. Like, you think it's just 2 people that don't get along, can't communicate, they're having to communicate throughout the day on patient care. Oh, the hygienist said to do this, but the assistant that doesn't like her went and counteracted her and said, no, you don't do that, you do this instead. To where it's getting down to, okay, now it's impacting even our patient care because there's miscommunication that are happening because these 2 people just can't seem to get along. But beyond that, it's impacting the environment. So all these additional little conversations that happen because person A goes and talks to her buddy on the team, and let me dialogue about this, and let me get your advice about this. And then person B goes and talks to her buddy, and then person B is then talking to person C, and person C, and then it becomes this manager sitting in front of me going, I've got little fires everywhere now that I'm trying to put out. And when we talk to her, I'm like, what's at the epicenter? What's the crux that all of this is coming back to? And she nailed it. She's like, it's these 2 team members that just can't seem to get along. And so this can happen in a million different ways and look a different way.
Well, and you just saying all of that, like, my reaction is like, oh yeah, we've been there, done that. But what is my actual reaction in the office? I go back to my office. I go to my office and I shut the door. I'm like, they'll just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or I don't have time for that. Or one will come in and be like, did you hear what happened with this? Or let me give you the heads up on this. And my gut reaction is, they need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we've got bigger fish to fry. We're trying to put in our chart notes. We're trying to pay the bills. We're trying to, appease Mrs. Smith, who didn't like the dentistry, that whatever. And we're like, I don't have time for these children squabbling here. You 2 figure it out. And so I think that as the doc, that's what we tend to be like, just somebody's going to take care of this. It will settle and all that. Now, of course, if you have a manager, then you're hoping, but at some point the manager's hands are tied. So I guess my point is, as the owner, you might go, I don't need to get bogged down in that. Or oftentimes that's what we do without even realizing that that's what we do. And then, yeah, this whole like stink bomb's going off in your office. And by the time it gets to you, it's like,
yeah.
And to the point of, does Mary need to go or does Sally need to go? And you're sitting there going, neither one needs to go. You want me to hire a new hygienist? You want me to hire a new front desk? Like, where am I finding said person? And even if I did find said person, even if I had 20 amazing candidates in front of me, they're all going to come with their own variation of who are they going to set off in the office and when. Like, I am not doing this. Y'all need to figure this out. Before it gets to that point, there's only so much you can bury your head in the sand. And I think that's just most of us, our nature is like, I am not dealing with this. Actually, I take that back. There's probably a percentage of us that are like going to go insert themselves into the drama.
Yeah.
And then, so I guess I can, yeah, like you're saying, I can very well see this, but I can see the tendency to just be like, ladies,
it'll pass.
Yeah.
Just give it time. It'll get better. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is it usually doesn't.
So can you walk us through, like, my initial questions on this are like, is one of them new to the team? How long have each of them been there? What has the manager already done to try to sort this out? Is it a personality issue that, have they never, are they a newer client of yours and so they've functioned in dysfunction? All of those things. Can you walk us through all of that?
So in this particular case, these ladies have worked together for quite some time. But there was a break.
What is quite some time?
So originally, these two ladies worked together in the same role, both assistants, RDAs. Then one of the assistants...
For how long? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 6 months?
A few years.
Okay, couple of years.
A few years,
okay.
Yeah. And again, they say they weren't close. But they worked together fine. They went on a team trip together. Some kind of friction happened on that team trip.
Are they the same age-ish?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, not 30 years apart, but they're probably 15 years different.
Okay, so that's probably some of it.
Yeah. So they worked together for a few years. The one went off to hygiene school and then came back.
Is that the younger one?
As a hygienist, yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So when she came back, she's back on the team. So they're still not they're not buddies, but they're fine. And then the hygienist starts kind of functioning as a hygienist. Like, hey, she at pedo practice, so she's having to navigate, hey, assistant, can you go grab this? Can you do this? So as she should. She's a hygienist managing multiple scalings in an hour. And so she's trying to get her team to kind of execute a plan, not doing anything that she shouldn't be doing.
No, but it's especially when you say if she was the assistant and they were a quote equal position and now she is not her boss, but yeah, like she had the RDA, the one who's still the RDA still kind of like needs to listen to this one. And if you're telling me she's older, I mean, that's a recipe
for disaster.
Whew.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long has she been back in the practice as a hygienist?
A year.
Okay. So this has probably just been escalating.
So she came back temporarily as a hygienist, filling in for another hygienist that was on leave. So she didn't have a permanent place, and she knew that. So then the lady that was on medical leave couldn't come back. And so this lady now fulfilled the role. So she was now permanent. And that's when things started to...
And that makes sense. And I would imagine probably the first month or two, she's probably treading lightly. And now she's settling in and now going, okay, this is what I need. Mm-hmm. And so now, even though you said it's been like a year, it's probably been like the last maybe, what would you say, 4 or 5 months that now it's finally like...
Yeah, like this is permanent. This is what we're doing. I've settled into my role. I've got some confidence in how to run the schedule. And so... all of this was you said recipe for disaster. All of this was you put the certain ingredients together and you're like, let's see if this blows up into a volcano, right? It's almost like you go back to the science project where you add, the vinegar, and then all of a sudden it's exploding. So I think there was multiple things that it was like, add that she's now a hygienist. Now add that she's been here for several months. She's settling into her role, starting to have a little bit more authority. Now add that the beloved hygienist isn't coming back. Now she's permanent. It's like all of this was just like a little extra vinegar and just wait for it to explode. And so, yeah, I think that's how a lot of the drama happens.
So do you think, so number one, how long has the manager been there?
Long time.
Okay. And number two, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but it's easy for us to sit here in retrospect and go, but do you think this is one that the doc and or the manager should have anticipated and maybe not hired this hygienist? Or do you think that's not fair to the practice because they need a hygienist and one was ready to go, and so like what are your thoughts on all of that?
All of the above. So they did, and they were very cautious of thinking about the history between, and again, it wasn't a dramatic history, so I want to make sure that it just was like, yeah, they don't really enjoy each other type thing.
But nothing bad had happened that would have been a clear signal of this is a no-go.
Nothing major. And during the time where she was temporarily helping as a hygienist, it seemed to be just fine, honestly. There was no rumblings of frustration. So I think, and you have to take into account, okay, do we just go, okay, great, let's bail on you, hygienist, who knows our system, knows our patients, is an excellent hygienist. Let's not, for the potential of drama, let's not hire you. Let's hire somebody else. And it's
if there is even somebody else to hire, honestly.
And then we don't know their quality. We don't know the potential drama that they could bring to the practice. So to me, from a practice decision, it was the right decision to bring this fantastic hygienist onto the team full time. So I think they knew, there's a potential of drama. They talked about, like, should we? And we're like, well, it's going fine.
Who's they talking about?
The manager and the dentist, the owning practice, the practice owner. So I think they were aware, but there wasn't any indication that this was going to be a
There was
problem.
no deal breaker. Okay. So then, can you give us a couple of examples of, like, fires this manager? Like you said, like, the managers now have got all these little fires to put out. Can you give us, like, some solid, like, what happened? Give me one example of, like, what happened between these two, and then who said what to who, and to lead us to where we are now.
So, in this particular case, some of the little fires that started to happen for this manager and what she's been walking through is having to field constant complaints from one of the team members about the other person. And
one of the main two involved? Okay. So it's not like the game of operator where assistant number C heard it from B. Okay, no. It's B herself complaining.
Yep.
Okay.
So constantly coming
My guess is it's going to be the RDA? Okay.
Guessed correctly. So, like, oh, she's doing this wrong. Oh, she's doing this. Like, this isn't the way we've always done it. So what the manager did is she got right on it. Like, I have to applaud the manager on this. She wasn't going to, like, just wait it out. So she was having direct conversations with the hygienist, like, hey, don't do that. Hey, this is not the way we've done it. One of those conversations I was in, hey, let's make sure we're all on the same page with this. This is how we do it. This is our protocol. One of them, the doctor was in on. So office manager is fielding all of these complaints, and then she's taking action. Like, hey, let's make sure we're clear on this. And she's addressing that. And to commend the hygienist, she did receive all of that feedback well.
And I would say this is probably going to be the case regardless of who they brought in as a hygienist, because it sounds like anytime you bring somebody seasoned or not, like, there's a learning curve in how you do things. So my guess is it's this RDA's attitude about it, though. Like, she may be more forgiving if it was a random hygienist that applied and came in, and she might be more forgiving or more patient and going, no, this is how we do this, honey, or this is how we whatever. But because it's this person that she doesn't love, that's younger than her, that's an RDA that got to hygiene, it might be...
Like you said, recipe.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for problems.
So there's probably no grace, is my guess. Like, there's no grace for this person, where there might have been grace.
I would say that's spot on.
Another hygienist, okay.
Spot on, yeah. And so, again, to commend the manager, she is making sure, oh, yeah, no, I see that. Let me make sure the hygienist is on the same page with us. Oh, yeah. She manipulated the schedule this morning to lengthen an ortho appointment. And RDA is, like, immediately like, no, we don't do that. And, bringing it to the manager's attention. And the manager's like, okay, yeah, no, I need to address that. So any complaint is met with action. Now, she's not publicly sharing with the whole team, hey, by the way, everybody, I talked with the hygienist this morning to make sure she's aware of. The manager's doing it in a professional way. She's having these private conversations, and then it's settled. Except that it's not.
So, and I'm guessing because this RDA doesn't know what was said and not said, and maybe she's waiting for this, I don't know, maybe she's waiting for drama. Like, so RDA has not gone to the hygienist and said anything. And has not tried to help her and be like, hey, remember, we don't do it this way. No. She's just tattling behind and okay.
Yep. Exactly. Which, this is so common. Like, I can't tell you how many times when there is drama on a team. I was just in another team meeting this week where the team lead, texted me a few days before I was going to be there and was like, I need to give you a download on some stuff before you get here because, man, it's been negative and, you know, the business team is just in a funk right now and I need to give you a heads up on that. And again, sitting in that team meeting, it was like, oh, but this person is constantly cloud of negativity, blah, blah, blah. That's spreading to all of us, you know. So this is so common that there's a person on the team or a pair of people that are just bringing things down or causing drama. It is normally not a team-wide thing, like a team revolt. We can think about this with parenting. Like, how many times is one of our kids in a funk and the other one's like, I'm fine? Very rarely is it like, let's all band together and let's all be just crazy on one day. It kind of just happens from one or two people. And the same thing happens on a team. And so, to me, some of the hard part is sifting through to figure out, but where, I always call it the epicenter. Like, what's the epicenter of this storm? Who's at the middle? Is it one person? Is it a couple of people? And good leadership has a pretty good idea. They're like, nope, I know this person well enough to know that it's probably coming from this. Or, like in this particular case, this manager has been fielding all of these complaints and has exhausted herself trying to fix it. Where it's like, oh, if we just fix what the assistant has said is a problem, if I just fix that problem.
Which is going to be my question for you. So she's having all of these conversations with the hygienist to calibrate her up to where we need to be. Yes. But has she had any meetings with the RDA?
Not until recently.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is where you reach a point, and for any other practice out there that's going through something like this, you reach a point where you go, okay, we've addressed everything. Yes, there were some calibration things. Yes, we needed to fix some of those. Those have been rectified. But there's still complaints. When is it going to be enough? When are we going to go, okay, let's move on. Let's give grace. And we got to get on the same page.
Let's focus on patient care. Like, that's what you are seemingly doing on the surface. Like, it seems like you're trying to make sure that, you know, because, if you extend this appointment, then you've affected that appointment and you've whatever slow. But that's not at the crux of this.
No. At some point we go, okay, now we're just nitpicking to be nitpicky. Now there's bad blood between these two. Now, again, I have to commend the hygienist because she's received the feedback, she's calibrated, and she hasn't brought negativity or complaints to the manager when I know she could have, and she hasn't. And so finally, we're having these two separate conversations, me and the manager and hygienist, and me and the manager and RDA. And we're going, dude, I don't know what's got to happen, but something's got to change. You two have to figure out how to work with one another. So we're talking individually and going, okay, what do you need to make this relationship work? Because both of y'all are exceedingly valuable to this team. But we've got to have a better working relationship. This is impacting day-to-day operations where hygienist says this, RDA is going against that. Hygienist is overthinking every decision now because she's nervous about making a mistake. And, this is impacting patient care. We can't allow this to happen. Not to mention...
Good Lord, how familiar is that? You saying that right there. Whew. Yeah. So what happened then? Especially, I want to hear about the RDA conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's the one. She's the one, basically, you're calling out and going, enough.
Yeah.
Enough, lady. What is your problem? Can you grow up or not?
Yeah. So we first had the conversation with the hygienist and said, hey, we got to have a better working relationship. And finally, that hygienist is like, I really thought about coming to you, the manager, on multiple occasions, and I just didn't feel... I felt like, what's the point? I'm the new one to the team, new to this role. I need to calibrate. This is me, but
Which is a very mature mindset.
Exactly.
Good for her.
And she was like, but I've gotten to the point where, this RDA walks into the room and I feel like I'm being watched. Like she's watching me, waiting for me to make a mistake. And she was like, I'm stressed out when I come in here. To the point that I've had to think about, like,
do I want to be
the
here?
right place for me?
Yeah.
And she was like, but I just didn't feel like that was, like, what are you, manager? What are you supposed to do with that? Like, it's just me needing to figure out.
But this is the concern and kind of what I was trying to allude to, like for the doctor, for us to just go, they will sort it out. But you're about to lose a hygienist, and a good one. Mm-hmm. One that knows your practice. Yeah. So don't bury your head for so long that you're just like, ugh. And I'm not saying you need to, like, you know, raise the alarm anytime something happens, but my point is be alert. And pay attention, because it is so tempting to shut that office door and to bury your head and be like, I've got other things. I've got bigger fish to fry here. I don't have time for this child's play here. You two will go to timeout and figure it out. But this is where it leads to, because it made it to a point where the hygienist is like putting in her 2 weeks. And
Absolutely.
you had no idea. And I think that happens very often. Because, not forgetting, she has options. It's still a market of, there's still a deficiency of the number of hygienists available, front desk, assistants, like, it's still y'all's market.
Yeah.
And so there will be a job, that an office that will gobble her up. And she's probably not wanting to leave because she has history in this practice.
Yeah.
She wants to be there, but it's getting to the point where, you know what, push comes to shove, fine, I will just shove my way on out of here, because I do have 5 other job offers I could try. And it happens like that.
Instantly.
And you missed your opportunity because you were so busy going, they'll figure it out.
If we bury our heads, we're going to lose a team member. And sometimes we don't even know why we lost the team member, because we buried our heads so far in the sand that we're like, everything's fine. And then a team member leaves and you're like, but what happened? And in time, you may discover, oh my gosh, there was drama that I didn't even know about. Or you may be aware, like, yeah, I knew something was brewing and I didn't deal with it. And honestly, again, I applaud this manager, this practice owner that was trying to nip things in the bud just as quickly as things arose. They're on it. And we still had a hygienist that was like, I'm not sure that I can survive this. And again, thank goodness this manager's like, well, we got to deal with this. And we're having individual conversations. And this hygienist is able to say, I'm actually glad this conversation is happening because I have been struggling. And then we're able to say, let's fix this. We don't want to lose you. We don't want to lose anybody. We've got to be able to fix this. And so, again, if we would have waited 2 weeks, could that have hygienist decided during that time, like, I'm gone?
We don't know what could have happened in that time that would have been her point of no return. Like, maybe the RDA catches her on something that she's just like, you know what? Like, I'm done. Peace. I'm out. Yeah. So how did the meeting with the RDA go?
The meeting with the RDA was, as you might guess, wasn't as well received. So we talked through boundaries in her role, things that she really, she isn't in charge of directing other assistants. She isn't in charge of making decisions, that she had kind of been, it was almost like this power struggle is the way that I think about it now. And not that the hygienist was asserting her power, but it's almost like the assistant was like, I've got to step up in all categories of the practice, not just in the ones that related to the hygienist. It's almost like
the self-appointed.
Yeah, which she wasn't appointed in any way. Yeah. And so we had to do a lot of talking about it. A lot of it, like, you need to pull it back here. You need to pull it back in this area. But
did y'all ask her point blank and go, like, what is it?
Yes.
Do you feel like, you know, from a outside perch, it's like, it seems like you're picking on this one. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to call you out on it. Like,
yeah, that was our last point in the meeting, was like, this relationship has to be mended. Let's talk.
What did she say?
So hers goes back, like, just a grudge that was held from many, many years ago. That. So
she admitted that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She did. And so we brought it back to, but right now is where we're focused. And we've seen you go against her in this. And she was like, I haven't done that. We've seen you go against her in this. I didn't say that. And so there was a lot of like, nope, I haven't done it. And there's only so far you can push a person on that. You're not going to be like, but yes, you did, and it's not worth it. And in that case, if you've got a person that's kind of naturally defensive against, I didn't do that, I didn't say that, it's not me, you're not going to convince them with logic that it's them. You have to come back to the main point. The main point is whether you agree or disagree with the feedback that's been given to you. Going forward, this has to be rectified.
And this is the expectation.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? How do we get to a point where this is not causing lots of little fires? We're not having all these little negative conversations. You're not in the manager's office every day talking about all the... How do we get to that point? And so she was the one that said, I think we need to have a conversation. I think there needs to be a conversation.
With those two directly.
Wow.
Okay, I didn't see that coming. I thought the hygienist is the one who would have been like, let me talk to her directly. I would have seen RDA try to deflect that.
The hygienist did end up saying at the end, like, I don't know. She was like, I will do whatever I need to do to make this work better. But she did say, I don't know that this is just going to naturally get better. I think there's probably going to need to be some kind of meeting or something. And I'm open to whatever. The RDA was like, I think we need to have a conversation. So both are kind of saying the same thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I was expecting. So did they have that yet? Or
not
that's
yet.
Coming up?
This is really fresh, really recent. So
tips on how do you facilitate that? Like, are they going to meet after patient care one day? Will it be on site or away? Is there going to be a mediator in between? Like, is there going to be an agenda that, like, kind of like, think about these things and have your answers prepared? Or like, what are you advising for how this conversation should happen?
So mediated conversations are one of the most complex and difficult to handle. So I think any listener that's thinking about doing this, you need to know it is delicate on so many levels, so you've got to have a good plan. You cannot willy-nilly your way into a mediated conversation. It never goes well. As you might imagine, Dr. Kuba and I have lots more to say on this particular subject matter. In fact, we go through nitty-gritty next steps to take when helping two team members come together on the same page. In fact, there's so much content that I am actually going to make it a part of the bonus content for May. So that will become available the first Monday in May. If you're not a subscriber, I would challenge you to do that to get access to the last bit of this content. Level 1 membership gets you access to the bonus episodes. Level 2 gets you the bonus episodes plus a chocked full digest with all kinds of documents to help you walk through this particular challenge. So don't hesitate. Click on the subscribe button in the show notes and go subscribe today.